An all-terrain hybrid able to run long distances, climb, dig, and briefly submerge for a span of time. This genome, very carefully selected, would create a predator that would be much more amiable to follow commands, be friendly to its human compatriots, and merciless to its victims.
Hi, my name is Tapper. Welcome to my place. So, as you can likely tell, I'd gotten a bit inspired from Goji Center's Mortalodon video. Link will be in the description. I can imagine the Mortalodon is like the dog breeds like a Doberman or a Mastiff or a Pit Bull, where they can look outright terrifying in the wrong environment, but with thoughtful training can still be good pets. However, they're not necessarily the best creatures for every situation. Therefore, my plan is to design a Mortalodon that could serve the role of an assistance dinosaur or a therapy dinosaur. And while I'll be using some of the same broad strokes as they did, so as to leave it clearly coming from the same root place, I'll be swapping a few things out. Let's start with the things that I want to change from Goji Center's Mortalodon. First of all, its size. I don't mind a large assistance dinosaur. It's still got to be able to reach higher places in case their human is incapable of it. But 8 feet tall and 18 feet long only barely fits indoors. Second, I want it to look more kid-friendly. Yes, this is still a theropod dinosaur. It's going to have claws and sharp teeth. So do cats and dogs, and we let those play with children no problem. However, knife-like fangs, demented rodent incisors, and an outright skull pattern on the face won't work for that. I think those are the only major areas that outright need to be changed, so let's jump right in. Now, the first dinosaur that Goji Center talked about for their Indoraptor 2.0 was the hadrosaur, for their excellent stamina due to their tail anatomy, along with built-in insoles on their feet to cushion for long runs. Stamina would be a very valuable feature for an assistance dinosaur as well, for similar reasons. My version of the Indoraptor 2.0 isn't going to be expected to accelerate to high speeds very often, but they are going to wind up having to be on their feet and moving around all day over pretty much any terrain. So having high stamina and cushioned feet will be very useful. You can imagine this dinosaur walking the streets, pushing a cart or maybe a wheelchair, and being able to take off running after a blown away object, hyperactive toddler, or runaway thief. I did switch up exactly which hadrosaur was used. They cited Edmontosaurus specifically. I chose Chondrosaurus, which is smaller but still medium-sized. That should do just fine. Now, the base. In order for this to stay a raptor, it needs to keep the dromaeosaurid frame. Goji Center chose Utahraptor and Atrociraptor, specifically the Jurassic Universe Atrociraptor, and their speculation on what Utahraptor would look like in that universe. The bigger raptors being believed to be more likely to hunt in packs, so why not go for the biggest? Now, I'm unsure about using anything from the Jurassic universe because of the uncertainty of the genome, and I'm not about to use their big blue raptor. I do agree with the choice of Utahraptor though, and the original is quite large enough for my needs. But just to make sure it doesn't get too big, I'll be adding the Velociraptor. No, not that one. This one. The little guy will help maintain the dromaeosaurid build and keep the size in check. Oh my goodness gracious. This little guy's already so cute. Now, contributors to the Mortalodon's bite were Hoplophonius for the fangs, along with its claws and shoulders, the short-tailed shrew for its iron-coated teeth, along with the rapid metabolism, good sense of smell, and heightened reaction time and reflexes, and the vampire bat for their incisors and saliva, along with the leaping ability to manage excess iron, echolocation, and thermal imaging. I want this hybrid to be kid-friendly, so iron-coated teeth, saber fangs, and blade-like incisors would run counter to this. I'm removing the short-tailed shrew entirely and dialing the vampire bat way back. All it's contributing are the echolocation and thermal imaging, along with, I guess, the ability to manage excess iron. Hoplophonius is also going to be removed, but I'll be substituting something else in. My reason for doing this is because I do like the fang pattern of the Mortalodon, but I didn't want them to be exact. The water deer shall help me with this. Also known as the vampire deer, they have tusks similar to the saberfangs, which are loose in their sockets and can actually be moved back and forth, being pulled back when they're eating and outright pointing them forward when preparing for battle. At least the males can do this. It's debatable if the females can with their shorter canines. Also, they've got powerful hind legs and will run with rapid-like jumps, either replacing or synergizing with the leaping ability of the vampire bat. Goji Center also had decided to use the water atoll for skin capabilities, strong claws, and adhesive toe pads. I have other plans for the skin, but having sticky toe pads and strong claws would be useful in assisting their human. I switched it out for the panther atoll, for no real reason other than, I guess, because it's more of an arboreal one. I absolutely agree with Goji Center's choice of a dog to ensure trainability and loyalty, along with that great sense of smell. However, where they went with the extinct ancestor of Mastiffs and Great Danes, I'll be going in a slightly different direction. My doggo shall be the now extinct St. John's Water Dog, ancestor to the Newfoundland and many modern retrievers. Retrievers have demonstrated high affinity for the duty of service dog, with golden retrievers and Labradors making the top 9, so I feel that is an appropriate choice. Now for the arms. Once again, I agree with Goji Center. Bonobos are the best choice. It gives them the arms, hands, fast twitch muscles, complex creativity, cooperative ability, deductive reasoning, and observational skills. All excellent traits for a creature that's supposed to be an assistant or therapist, or even both. Yeah, this should do excellently. With the size of those tusks, you're a cute little girl, and just about to your final state. Although, I feel like there was something else about the bonobos. I'll think of it later. And finally, time for the finishing touches. They chose the Arapaima for its armor scales and how long it could hold its breath. While I do need to think about this guy's armor, I feel like tough fish scales would be overkill and also not really serve a therapy animal purpose. So I'll swap it out for something softer. Way softer. I did consider a chinchilla. This would give them excellent protection against fleas and dander, as well as more social capabilities. However, it does mean they're at risk of overheating and would need to have temperature-controlled living quarters, and also they really ought to stay dry or they could get mold and matting. Since this hybrid is supposed to be a domesticated version anyway, it wouldn't be an issue. However, I don't really want to worry about water, so instead, I went with the silky chicken. This would be a better fit for the whole feathered raptor thing anyway, while still being just about as soft. And now, for the big reveal. Mortalodon 2.5, aka Mortalodon anthroxiliator, meaning deadly-toothed human helper. 6 feet tall, about 10 foot 11 inches long. I don't have a scale. It weighs less than the original Mortalodon by sheer virtue of less mass. Strong, swift, dexterous enough to accomplish plenty of tasks, intelligent, trainable, and loyal. Males have longer tusks than females, so that's a quick visual tell between them. I gave my female a dose of the silky genes too, just to make sure she eventually grows that same coat and also gets the same traits as the male. I'm sure glad I have a couple of assistants now to help out around the house, since I have so many projects going that are demanding my attention. And what's going on over there? Oh, shoot. That's what I was having trouble thinking of with the bonobo genes. The breeding frenzy. Well, thankfully, the silky chicken genetics can be some curbing on the bonobo instinct. They'll be good parents, and once they go broody, they'll stop laying eggs in favor of incubation. I just need to make sure I can collect the eggs for checking without getting attacked. Dog training coming in clutch there. Now, What should I do with all of those eggs? Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I shall be distributing these eggs to various content creators who had inspired me to try this take. One is definitely going to Goji Center, since they were the ones to give me the idea in the first place. If any of the channels I gift an egg to wants to display their Assistance Raptor in their own art style, they're welcome to. And they can use whatever colors they want. I'm not about to gatekeep that. I look forward to seeing the results. But until next time, later!